Welcome to Tips Over Tea. This is season 2. I am so thrilled to have the opportunity to have great conversations with some amazing people. And I have the opportunity to hang out with you guys again, my guests. Make sure you have your tea, whether it be hot or cold, for the Tips Over Tea. And make sure you have your notebook so you can take plenty of notes. And if you're so inclined, bring a friend or two to join you. For now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tips Over Tea. I am so thrilled. I have two family, they're my family, veterans here with me. I want to thank you for joining the show, Mike and Heather. Thank you for joining me on this episode.
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm really excited to be here. So is Lilith. That's Lilith. So everybody,
love
She's
it.
Excited.
So I just want to celebrate you for what you've done in your service. I believe Mike is retired. Heather is still active. So I love just love being in your presence. It's been great meeting you and hanging out with you. So let us get started, shall we?
Yeah.
Awesome. So a little bit before the show, we were talking about navigating tough days. So I want to start off with Mike. So you were having a particular tough day today.
Oh, man.
But now you don't look like you were having a tough day today. So what made, how did you?
Well, first of all, I think that the looks are intentionally deceiving. I have long been very good at masking how I feel. And that's part of kind of the recovery. For me, when I smile, I tend to forget the crap that's going on. And I tend to embrace the moment a little bit. But yeah, there's a lot of great things that have been happening for me lately. But at the same time, I don't know if you ladies even know this. About a year ago, a little bit over a year ago, divorce went final. The day I signed the paperwork saying how much I was going to give to support my ex-wife and my kids, I got laid off and couldn't find any work within, well, I'm 2,000 miles away from them now. I moved out here about 9 months ago. Don't know anybody. I did bring my dog. She's just right around the corner. But I've been kind of trying to rebuild myself, trying to figure out who I am, what I'm supposed to be doing. I do like my job. I don't love my job. I love where I work. I love the people I work with, but I want something different eventually. So I'm kind of in that little flex. I've been here all by myself for 10 months now. So I've had to practice how to deal with the crap when it comes. Part of that is, I mean, you two ladies, I met you 3 weeks ago. I've always been a writer, so I kind of threw myself out into the writing community, picked up with a couple of veteran groups, and ended up working with you two lovely ladies. And they're two of my stars to the audience. I wrote words that they said on the screen. It was kind of fun. Yeah. And someday I'm going to write something that you're going to direct there,
Heather. Hey. Manifestation.
Absolutely. But yeah, so the biggest thing for me, a lot of my pain and heartache will have to do with people. And I'm naturally an introvert. I tend to retire by myself and just kind of sit around and I think a lot. And that kind of kicks me in the head quite a bit when I get into my own head. Now, I can use that creatively and observe and build things and design things and everything like that. But when I get in little spirals, it's not a good thing. So I have to keep myself busy.
Yeah. So what I hear can be helpful is writing, could be journaling or writing a short story. Being in the present moment. If you've ever read Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, it's kind of a difficult read, but it's really good. But he's like, in this moment, there's nothing wrong. So if you can get in this present moment, you usually can be okay, and it gives you time to just settle down.
Oh, I love that actually. That
Yeah.
would have been helpful today.
Yeah, it's a good book. Again, it's a tough read. He has another book that probably would be good to read first. But yeah, The Power of Now, literally right now. Usually, so in the mornings, when I greet people, I try to say good now, because technically now is the only time we have, right? We don't have, the past is a memory and the future hasn't happened yet. So all we have is right now. So good now. And I appreciate that you recognize when you are running into things and you are choosing a way to deal with it that isn't, harmful or taking 5 steps backwards. It's at least moving you forward in your progress. So that's awesome that you shared that. Thank you. Yeah. Miss Heather, what says you, love, when you have tough days like you had today?
So for me, tough days like today, so it's changed a lot over time, right? Like, as you know, we've already talked about, I've been on a really huge self-awareness and spiritual journey. And so before, I was always stuck in a place where I was stuck. I was stuck in the feeling. I would replay the scenario over and over and over in my head of, oh, I should have said this. Oh, I should have done that. Oh, I shouldn't have said this. And then I would just keep going over and over and over it again, and then I would just be creating my own misery, creating my own torment. Or if it was a really deep feeling of like sadness or loneliness, I wouldn't just like sit in it. I would completely, I would completely
like a pig in the mud.
Yes, I would go into I used to call it the black hole, know. So and it was just really unhealthy. And back then I had unhealthy ways of handling all that, which we won't go into all that, but like they were extremely unhealthy. And through my journey, I've come, I don't know how it happened. I don't know when it happened, but over time, it just kind of evolved into this point of, one, talking to other people about what was going on, whether it was my frustrations, and talking to people that I trust to be on the same wavelength as me, that I know that are on this healing journey with me, that are going to give me good insights and also be blunt with me when I'm fucking up.
Yeah.
Oh, also, sorry. Can I say that? Can I drop F-bombs? Okay. Sorry.
This is not made for, when you posted to YouTube, they're like, is it made for children? No.
Okay, good. So one of the things I noticed for me personally is reaching out to people, like talking to people. Another thing that I find that I did, like I just did it today twice. So early in the morning, I had a moment of extreme frustration because I just felt like something was being done a certain way by someone that I felt was just a bit toxic, not arrogant. And arrogance, I've noticed it, according to the human design, it puts me in my not self theme of anger. It does, right? It does. And so in that moment, like, instead of taking that moment in the moment, instead of taking a step back and trying to like just collect myself and realize it's not that big of a deal, allow myself to get angry. And then I found myself talking shit about the person. And then afterwards, that same person ended up like flipping the script and ended up being super nice to me. Right. And was talking to me about something that literally lines up with something I'm trying to do in the future. And I was like, it was a humbling moment because spirit literally was like, here you are judging this person. And yet this person, you don't even know anything about them. And look how they can actually help you, but you're too busy judging them, And so I had this humbling moment where I took a step back afterwards and I, VC'ing one of my friends. And I said, and in the moment, I had this humbling moment of realizing how I judged that person. Right. And then I had another moment of where I realized I was I can be very selfish, because when he was talking to me about that particular thing, I found myself being excited. And then I took a step back and I was like, Heather, you were just talking shit about how this guy was acting just now. But here you are excited because he can offer you something. That's really two-faced. You know what I'm saying? That's selfish and that's two-faced. So in moments like that, for me, it's all about the self-talk and the taking accountability, right? And we talked about this before. Taking accountability. And I just did my own little thing about this, you know? I think that's so huge, is being real with myself and taking accountability for what it is I'm saying or what I'm doing or how I acted about something. The other thing that I came into was at the end of the day. And that was a little bit harder, actually. And that was at the end of the day, after having an exhausting day physically, like so exhausting, in the sun, outside all day, running around. I got in my car and I was driving to go pick up something for work tomorrow. And as I was driving, I just thought about the fact that I just had this extremely exhausting day, and I'm going home to an empty apartment with nobody there. And then that feeling perpetuated the feeling of like realizing how often I don't get hugs, or how often I don't get that, not even have to be intimate. You know what I'm saying? It's not, it doesn't have to be romantically intimate. It's just that physical connection to, what is it? The oxytocin, is it? I think it is, you know, the feel good, hormone, you know, what is it? They say you need like 10 hugs a day or something. I don't know what it is. But you're supposed to have physical contact. Even when I
was married.
You're supposed to get physical contact like so many times a day, and I don't, you know? And so that kind of, I literally was driving in my car and I cried. And for me now, it used to be in those moments I would spiral. I would be bawling my eyes out. I'd go home. I'd continue to bawl my eyes out, literally like crawl into my closet at the bottom of the floor, balled up in the ball, like just completely miserable and depressed. And now what happens is that, and this is really personal to me because of my spiritual journey. Now what I find is, one, I voiced it out to a friend. I left her a VC and just told her about my day and how I was feeling. And then two, was in that moment of feeling that emotion, I talked to spirit. I just spoke out to spirit, and I was just like, I get that this is all part of the journey. I get that this is all part of the journey, and I get like, I need to go through this, and I know I need, like, patience is a virtue, and I know that all of this is meant for something, right? But then I was like, but it doesn't. And I was like, I know that, spirit, I know that, but it doesn't make it any easier, you know? And so I said, and what was crazy is I said that out loud, and I was just crying, right? And then lo and behold, one of the guys at work was texting me about today, because he was doing the little things today. And we were texting about today and about the pictures that were taken or whatever else. He's a friend of mine. He's a good friend of mine. And then he made me laugh in one of the texts as I'm like crying. He makes me laugh. And I was like, I really needed that laugh. Well, he's really good at picking up on like emotional cues. So then he calls me and he was like, I just wanted to check in on you. And it was so funny because when he did that, immediately what came to mind was like Spirit was like, we got you. We understand this is hard. We understand that you're lacking that interaction and that, you know, that comfort. And so we got you. Here's a friend. Here's someone to help you in this moment, you know? And so we just chatted. We chatted about him and what he was doing, him and his girlfriend or whatever, which they're adorable. I love them. But it was just nice because after that moment and after Spirit brought that in, and because I'm at a point where I can recognize it, I'm like, I felt better. I felt better, you know? So that's kind of how it worked for me.
That's cool. It's so rewarding when you can recognize your own growth. Right? Yeah. When you can look and be like, wow, if this had happened such and such time,
Yeah.
who knows, like,
Yeah.
it's, if nothing else, it makes that uncomfortable moment worth it, because it shows you how far you've come.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So I love that you shared that. Something that come to mind, another Eckhart Tolle thing came to mind. Oh, Pain Body. I think that's also in that book. I don't know why his book is like coming up.
It's like Spirit's like, you're gonna put this out there.
Yeah.
So I obviously need to make sure I write this down. Like, this is something I need to pay attention to.
Yeah. So in that, he talks about the pain body, and especially women having the pain body, like generational.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like once it shows up, if you start to identify with it, then you will start to spiral. But when you can recognize it for who it is, like I had clients, I'm like, well, give it a name so that when it shows up, you can disinvite it. Because once you, like, the fact that you spoke out loud kind of against it, like, I see you.
Yeah.
It made it more palpable to go through that in that moment, and also opened up you energetically, and your friend was able to text you. So it's interesting just hearing y'all's shares in that book. Is just come. I have that. It's been a minute since I've read that book, so it's interesting. I don't know if Spirit's telling y'all to read it or me to reread it.
Probably everyone, all of us. It's a communal thing.
You know what? Well, maybe we read it and then we come back on and have another show.
I like that. I like that idea. Oh, I do like that idea.
Yep. You know what's funny is I actually have an Amazon book club. 'Cause it's like a beta thing that they did, and so I've got a whole bunch of people, but there was initially, I think they've changed it. Initially, there was no way to really communicate. People were like, can I join the club? Because you can make it private. So I got people, and it shows like what books I'm reading and all that. But I actually wanted to kind of have like a book club and like have conversations and stuff like that over. But I'm just like, people read at different speed, and then I just started thinking too much, and then I stopped doing it. Like, I still have the club, the link and everything, but I have never like hosted one because I just overthought it, and I'm just like, not right now.
Well, it's not like you aren't doing anything else, Nicole. You're kind of busy, so you can only do so much.
I know, that was probably the other thing. So Michael, since we were talking about like noticing growth, because it's been 10 months, and I appreciate you sharing that, by the way. That's not an easy situation. I can't even imagine having signed, you're going to have to pay out this much forever, not forever, but close. And then you're like, so
I had to choose between keeping that commitment and seeing my children. So I have 4 kids. My oldest is 20. I have twins who are 16, and I have a 12-year-old. And this last weekend was my youngest. She had 3 different dance recitals. And so I got, my ex-wife was great. She sent me pictures and things like that. But I sent Lizzie, my youngest, I sent her Lego flowers, Lego roses. So she sent me a picture of those. She put together and stuff like that. But it is, Heather, you mentioned physical contact. I live in Alexandria, Virginia. I am a father of 4 children. I was a high school baseball coach. I have always been, I'm the oldest of 5 kids, and I never see children. I never, like, how when you're walking down the street and you kind of see a puppy and you're like, oh, cute. And you kind of like get that little, that's how I am anyway.
I am too.
I found I do that with kids too, because I don't ever see them. And so I'm probably that creepy guy who's like, oh, cute kids. And mom's like, no. Anyway, but you talked about hugs. You talked about just like, as adults, we don't touch each other. Like, you go to work and you don't shake hands with people you work with every day. And even if you do shake hands, it's like, ooh, goody, a handshake. The physical affection, the really knowing somebody beyond just, hey, what outfit did you wear today? Or what, there's so many superficial things that don't really cut to the core. And those are things that really are genuine to the human experience that as a single man, I've found that I don't get at all. And I wonder if there might be little differences between the genders, but either way, it sucks for everybody.
Yeah.
And and if I go up to somebody, hey, can I have a hug? As a 46-year-old dude, that can be a little bit odd. So, anyway,
I mean, there are people who stand around and say free hugs, and they get hugged.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and some of those can't go near schools anymore. But I'm
well, I don't mean for you to do it near school.
No, but that's true. Like there's a reason why that's a thing, right? Like there's a reason why like it's all over TikTok. Like the one guy that has the sign and it's like, if you need a hug, today, and like he literally has a blindfold on, I think, a lot of times, and he's like, if you need a hug, and they just come up and they give him a hug. There's another guy that does it, and they'll sit there, give him a hug, and like literally talk about their day because they just don't, they don't get that. And I think like there's something there, what I'm saying? Like personally, I think, there's something there in terms of how there's such a lack of that now, you know?
It's even more so these days with the digital footprint that we have.
Exactly.
Right? And so a lot of mental health challenges have been associated with that lack of connection, human connection. So, definitely.
I've even thought about like, I had this one crazy thought where I was just like, I understand like the need to have this like, this separation between like counselor and someone who goes to therapy. Right. I was like, but at the same time, I wish that there were a way that we could implement more physical touch. Because I feel like physical touch being used as part of therapy would be so amazing. Like, I feel like it would just be so beneficial in terms of helping people process and work through those feelings in the moment, Definitely. I mean, you're sitting, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you're sitting there, you're crying, they give you a tissue, and that's about all you get. You're hugging yourself.
Yeah. So I do agree with what you're saying, but I also can have an argument against that for a couple of ways, a couple of things. One, you just don't know what their childhood was like. A hug could exacerbate the trauma that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, being able to cry by yourself like that, it really does strengthen you too. Right? Because there may be times where you can't get to a clinician, or you have no friends who can tolerate that type of energy or whatever. And if you can't get it out yourself and survive through that, then you're going to be struggling so much. And I'm speaking all this from experience. As you can probably tell. So that's my only rebuttal. So otherwise, I was thinking, as you were saying that, I was like, maybe they can just hire somebody in the office that's not the clinician, and they can just be there for hugging people when they come in the office.
That's what I was thinking of, something along, like, even if it's not the therapist or whatever, and it doesn't have to be like it's something that so my cats are great and all, and I love them, and Lucifer definitely, because I have two, and Lucifer definitely like literally he's like a dog. I just pick him up and I just hold him, and he just sits there because he's like, love, yes. But it's not quite the same. It's not quite the same as just having like another human being there. And so, like, obviously I feel like it's just I feel like there could be a way to implement it into their therapy that would not cause the triggers. Once the therapist knows that person well enough, they would know whether or not this will be beneficial based upon their triggers or whatever else, or their traumas or whatever. I just, and I do understand what you're saying as well, right? Because I do agree that there is a point in which it is beneficial to be able to do that on your own. But for me and the massive amount of feelings that I feel, it was never an issue crying alone. The problem was getting out of that feeling. And the only way I ever felt that I could get out of that feeling was through physical pain.
Yeah, understood.
And so for me, it was a very unhealthy way of trying to pull myself out of that black hole, of that void. And so, like, the crying part was never an issue for me. It was coming out of that crying part. It was
So yeah. So where the difference is the reason behind the cry. If it's a self-pity, I hate life cry versus a release of stuck trauma cry. So at the release of the stuck trauma, you're not having to pull yourself out of anything. You're releasing, and you feel a sense of relief at the
that
end
makes
of it.
sense.
So it's recognizing the type of cry that's going on. But there, and just back to the other point, Clint, sometimes that I forgot what it's called, but when clients start to be attracted to their therapist because of so you got to that is another thing to take into consideration.
I do love your idea though of like just having that one special person, like maybe just having someone to greet them and give them a hug. You know what I'm saying?
Welcome to the clinic.
Exactly. I do love that.
Instead of a Walmart greeter, have a clinic greeter.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and it's be completely like voluntary. Obviously, if you don't want a hug, you don't have to have a hug. You know, not everyone, but you better damn well be sure I'm gonna get a cut. I'm gonna get a hug. Like I'm hugging somebody.
I am a hugger.
So yeah,
I know. Well, they should have hugging apps or hugging sections of dating apps or whatnot.
It sounds like you are inventing something right now.
I know.
Standing by.
I do know that there are
Bumble for hugs. Bumble for hugs.
There you go. Huggle.
I love it.
I actually really like that.
You know what? So I don't know if y'all are familiar with Interfusion Festival. It happens every year in January. Martin Luther King. It's a movement festival. So they do a lot of movement, Zouk, yoga, somatic stuff. It's really very spiritual. Love the event. There's one night that they have a cuddle party, and you literally, you like let people know, what your boundaries are, but you literally just go and cuddle with each other.
I love that.
I've not been, but to that part, because I'm usually vending. I usually vend like Estelle coffee and tea and and natural stuff. But people love it. They show up. That event is fabulous. I've been doing it for the last 8 years. It's really
that's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so neat, dude. I love that so much.
It is. So yeah, I love this. So we're like 4 minutes. We're almost at time. What I would like to do is I want you guys to share a little bit about what you do in the film industry, because who knows, someone may catch this and they're like, hey, I need a producer. Hey, I need a script writer. So I just want you to share in the last few minutes, like what you do, where you feel like your specialties are, what you're willing to do, whatever, something. And let me hush because you only got 3 minutes now because I talked too much.
Okay.
Go ahead, Heather.
So I am an aspiring director. I have been in the arts. I've been in the arts my entire life, predominantly performance theater. So I've done acting, I've done singing, I've done stage management. I've done it all. I've done makeup. But where I'd like to kind of steer into is acting is obviously an avenue, but writing, directing as well. Right now, at this point, I'm just trying to learn as much as I can and just figure out how to get my foot in the door to get whatever job I can, just so I can get the experience. I don't even care what job I get. I just want the experience at this point.
Understood. I love it.
And for me, as they say, this is a face meant for radio, but I'm a writer. I love to write. I've been writing since I was 7 years old. I have a letter somewhere I used to that was me as a 7-year-old saying, hey, get up off your butt and start writing again. Because I knew that I would,
wow.
I had other things that I had to do, but it all comes back to writing. I also do a little bit of voice acting, a little bit of like voiceover type stuff. That's where I am right now. So that's about most of my acting stuff is related to my voice, but I'm a storyteller at heart. That's whether I'm speaking, typing, giving you guys scripts, whatever it is. I want to find someone else's voice, put mine in there, and just tell stories.
I love it. I admire that. I love the arts. It's just, yeah. So I'm thrilled that I found you guys. Trey is when I used to pop up at the Pentagon, I used to do vending there, and Trey happened to the shop. He bought some stuff for his wife, and I don't know how we got on the conversation, but he was talking about veterans and media and entertainment, and I was like, yeah. And I went to one of the mixers, and I was like, yeah, I'm pretty much home. So
I love that.
I really I enjoyed the quick movie that we did the other day, and I was just like,
yes,
I'm so comfortable.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I'm writing another script, crew. And you two guys have characters in it. So
just say the word, and I am there.
Mm-hmm. I am there. I am ready.
You guys have big parts in it.
She ready. She ready.
Awesome. Well, we are pretty much at time. It's been a beautiful conversation. I thank you both for taking the time to hang out with me and the audience and just share, some of the things you've gone through and how you're navigating through that. Because I'm sure that one of the biggest challenges is people feel like they're the only ones going through something, right?
Yeah,
so it's nice to see, not nice to see that other people are going through it, but you know what I mean? It's I'm not the only one.
The community, though, to know you're not alone, to know you're not crazy.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
You're not crazy alone.
Hey, crazy is good. We don't need cookie cutters. So, but yeah, thank you guys for your time. And thank you everyone for tuning in this week. I hope you got some good tips, and just make sure you subscribe, share with anyone who could use this, and we will see you next time. Ciao for now.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Hope you enjoyed the show and got a lot of good information. Be sure to subscribe, tap the bell so you know when we air again. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Enjoy the rest of your week.